Three-sided drawing applause. Why do I always wake up? I know it hurts, but here I am again. It's not about age. It's about a small habit that's disrupting my nightly rhythm. It's not about breaking it. It's about changing it. Have you ever asked yourself why your body naturally wakes up around 2 or 3 a.m.? It's not about noise or pain. It's just about the feeling of needing to get out of bed to go to the bathroom. You go back to bed, close your eyes, but sleep isn't the same anymore. The next morning, despite a good night's sleep, your body still feels heavy, your head feels heavy, your heart beats faster than usual, and you spend the whole day in a feeling of indescribable fatigue. Many of us think this is just a natural part of aging. After 60, it's natural to not be able to sleep as deeply as you did when you were younger. But what if, in many cases, the cause isn't age, but a single habit you have on those seemingly empty evenings? The human body is like a river. During the day, the river flows powerfully, accepting, processing, and transporting everything we consume. But at night, the flow must slow. That's when the body heals, cleanses, and repairs the damage that is built up behind the scenes. But if, due to habitual habits, the river continues to flow at the same pace as during the day, small damage begins to accumulate. At first, it's just shallow sleep. Then comes persistent fatigue, unstable blood pressure, and poor memory. And many people only realize something is wrong when their bodies don't recover as easily as they used to. Before I continue, I'd like to make a very brief statement. If you find these stories helpful in better understanding your body, please follow the channel, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on content for middle-aged and older adults. If you'd like a more in-depth analysis or have specific concerns, please leave a comment with the number 1. I always read every single line with great care. In today's post, we'll explore how one habit, drinking water in the evening, silently disrupts sleep after age 60, and how you can control it without medication or complicated methods. You might even realize that your body has never betrayed you, but was simply sending you signals in a very quiet way. My name is Choi Woo Jin. I'm a specialist with over 30 years of experience, currently working at a university hospital. Over the years, I've met many elderly patients who come to the hospital not because of a specific illness, but because of a familiar phrase, "Doctor, I can't sleep like I used to." At first, most people think this is inevitable. But as I spend a little more time listening, one commonality slowly emerges. Most of them had very similar evening habits, especially those tied to drinking water before bed. Some downed a full glass of water to avoid thirst. Others believed herbal tea helped them sleep better, and still others drank small amounts of water throughout the evening, believing it was good for their kidneys. All of these behaviors begin with good intentions. That's why almost no one considers that these behaviors can keep them awake throughout the night and prevent their brains from reaching deep sleep. I still vividly remember one elderly man named Kim Do-hyun. He woke up at least twice a night for 3 years. He had no pain, no fever, and all his tests were normal. The only thing he did every night without fail was to drink a large glass of water right before bed to avoid a dry mouth. When I explained that this habit could actually make him more tired, he shook his head and said, "I didn't know something so small could have such a big impact." As these stories continued, I realized the problem wasn't that our bodies had become weaker, but that we were still treating our bodies the same way we did when we were younger. After 60, our bodies no longer process water, hormones, and nerve signals the same way they used to. But few people explain these changes calmly and clearly. I don't want to make you anxious. Rather, I hope this will lighten your mind. Because once you understand the cause, even small adjustments can lead to deeper sleep, fewer nighttime awakenings, and a much more rested feeling in the morning. Many people ask me this question. You might ask, why am I having problems now after drinking water my entire life? That's a perfectly valid question. And the answer lies not in a sudden breakdown of the body, but in physiological changes that quietly take place over time. When we were younger, our kidneys processed water quickly, our bladders withstood pressure, and our brains could easily return to deep sleep even after waking. But after 60, everything begins to work a little differently without us even realizing it. If you've nodded and pictured yourself up to this point, please continue to listen. It's not about changing your entire life. It's simply about giving your body its right to rest according to its natural rhythm. Frequent awakenings aren't destiny, but a signal. And as you begin to understand that signal, your body will begin to respond with quiet, deep rest and recovery. Perhaps you'll slowly regain that sense you haven't felt in a long time. Once you understand that frequent sleep disruption isn't simply due to age, the following question naturally arises in many people's minds. If there's no specific illness and all test results are normal, what exactly is changing in your body that causes such long and tiring nights after just a glass of water? This is precisely where we need to look at our bodies after 60 differently, more calmly, and more accurately. Many patients tell me they're confused. They don't drink alcohol, don't have coffee in the evening, and eat regularly. So why do they wake up in the middle of the night without drinking much water? The answer lies in physiological changes that occur gradually, quietly, and painlessly as we age. These changes have a noticeable impact on how the body processes water, especially at night. When you're young, your body is like a house with a flexible drainage system. At night, your kidneys receive a clear signal that it's time for rest. An important hormone called vasopressin, also known as antidiuretic hormone, is secreted in greater amounts as it gets darker. This hormone reduces the amount of urine produced by the kidneys and sends a message to the body to conserve water, helping us sleep for several hours straight. Therefore, young people often sleep deeply and without waking up even if they drink water at night. However, as time passes, and especially after age 60, the secretion of this hormone begins to decline. This doesn't mean the body is broken, but rather that it regulates itself differently. When vasopressin declines, the kidneys no longer receive the strong signal that night is rest time. As a result, even while we sleep, the kidneys continue to produce urine in a similar way as during the day. At the same time, they become more sensitive to light. They send signals to the brain even when the urine isn't as full as before, and even a small amount triggers the sensation that they need to wake up. The problem doesn't end with simply needing to go to the bathroom. Every time we wake up, even if it's only for a few minutes, our nervous system doesn't simply open its eyes and go back to sleep. When our bladder sends a signal, our brain transitions from a state of rest to an active state. Our heart rate rises slightly, our blood pressure fluctuates, and most importantly, we're pulled out of the deep sleep stage that our brain needs most. This deep sleep is essential for retrieving memories, regulating emotions, and repairing cells. As we age, it becomes much more difficult to return to deep sleep after waking up. So, even if we seem to spend plenty of time in bed, the actual quality of our sleep is significantly reduced. Many people worry about dehydration and say they drink water at night because they've heard that older people are more susceptible to dehydration. This is true during the day. Drinking enough water during the day is crucial. But night is a completely different story. Clear, diluted water passes quickly through the stomach and doesn't remain in the tissues for long, being sent directly to the kidneys for processing. While this isn't a problem for a young body, for those over 60, it's like knocking on the door of a house quietly undergoing renovations. Herbal teas are also often misunderstood. Many believe that chamomile, root tea, or other light herbal teas, because they're caffeine-free, help people sleep better. However, many herbal teas actually have mild diuretic properties. Drinking them in the evening can increase urine output, forcing the kidneys to work harder during what should be a restful period. Furthermore, the act of drinking any type of beverage, even a small amount of liquid, can stimulate the urinary reflex. I remember an elderly woman named Li Xianyang, who was very health conscious. She drank a pot of diluted herbal tea every night before bed, believing it to relax her body. However, the price of this was waking her up at least twice a night. When I asked if I really needed to urinate, I said that it wasn't necessarily the case, but rather a feeling of discomfort in my lower abdomen that wouldn't go away. That wasn't a sign of a full bladder, but rather a sign of an overly sensitive bladder. When sleep is cut short like this for weeks or months, the body starts to feel different. We begin to send out signals. Short-term memory declines, Emotions become easily swayed, and we feel unexplained anxiety during the day. Many people attribute this to mild depression or age-related mental decline. However, in many cases, the root cause is a prolonged inability of the brain to enter sufficiently deep sleep. When we explain this to patients, the most common reaction is not fear, but relief. They realize that their bodies are not broken or irreversibly deteriorating. They're simply responding quite rationally to the signals we unconsciously send them each night. It's perfectly natural for our kidneys and bladder to wake us up each night when they receive the message that there's still work to do. The important thing to remember is that no one needs to completely cut out water at night. Excessive restriction can dry out the mouth, tense the body, and actually make sleep shallower. The question isn't whether or not to drink, but what, how much, and when to drink. Understanding this principle allows us to make gentler choices that respect our body's changing circadian rhythms after age 60. Frequent awakenings aren't a judgment call. They're a warning. And if we learn to listen to that warning, our bodies will soon respond with calm, depth, and a sense of lightness that many people thought they'd lost forever. Understanding why our bodies react differently to evening water after age 60 almost always leads to the next question. What should we drink in the evening, or is it best to avoid drinking anything at all? Many people conclude that to sleep well, they must endure thirst, which is how their bodies process water at night. But in reality, this approach is rarely sustainable. Dry mouths, sore throats, and inexplicable tensions in the body can easily lead to even shallower sleep. Your body doesn't want to be deprived of water. It just wants to receive the right types of fluids in the right amounts at night, in accordance with its circadian rhythm. The first thing I always explain to my patients is that the evening is not the best time for the body to process things that pass through it too quickly. Plain water, weak tea, or any other fast-moving beverage passes quickly through the stomach and is processed almost immediately by the kidneys. What your body needs at night is not this stimulation, but rather to stay in your tissues a little longer and send signals to your nervous system that calm and relax. It's important to convey comfort rather than stimulate the urinary reflex. One gentle and suitable option for many older adults is unsweetened warm almond milk. This isn't because it's trendy or well advertised. It's because its ingredients are well suited to your nighttime routine. Almond milk contains the mineral magnesium, which plays a crucial role in relaxing muscles and blood vessels and calming the nervous system. It also contains tryptophan, an amino acid necessary for the production of serotonin, which in turn is converted into melatonin, the natural sleep hormone. Drinking a small amount warmly can provide a feeling of well-being that spreads from within without causing bloating or stimulating the circadian rhythm. I remember an elderly person named Park Jong. For years, he would wake up every night around 3 a.m. without fail. He had no pain or significant anxiety, but his sleep was always interrupted. After replacing a glass of water with a small glass of warm almond milk in the evening, what surprised him most was not that he went to the bathroom less often, but that his body naturally slowed down when he lay down in bed. He said his stomach felt more relaxed, his breathing became more regular, and sleep came much more smoothly than before. For those who feel tense or restless in the evening, warm turmeric milk with a small amount of pepper may be another option. Turmeric contains curcumin, which helps to alleviate stress and lower cortisol levels in the evening. Cortisol is needed during the day, but if it remains high at night, it can keep the brain in a state of alertness. Warm milk provides a sense of familiarity and security, and turmeric helps to gradually reduce tension in the body. The pepper should be used sparingly to aid the absorption of curcumin, just enough to be non-irritating. The key here is not the recipe itself, but the overall signals your body receives. Drinking warm turmeric milk signals to your nervous system that it's time to let go. It signals that there's nothing more to be alert or to deal with. For those with mild joint pain or muscle tension in the evening, this option may also help reduce discomfort while lying down. Another drink that isn't often mentioned, but is very suitable for the elderly, is warm gelatin water or very thin bone broth with little seasoning. The key ingredient in this case is the amino acid glycine. Glycine has a calming effect on the central nervous system, gently lowering heart rate, reducing brain overactivity, and helping you fall into a deep sleep without feeling heavy in the morning. Choosing the right evening drink for seniors, an elderly man named Choi Young-soo said he doesn't believe in new things, but bone broth has been a familiar food since childhood. After he started drinking a small amount of warm, very thin bone broth instead of water in the evening, he not only woke up less at night, but also noticed less stiffness in his joints in the morning. This wasn't a miracle, but the natural result of getting what the body needs when it needs it. No matter what you choose, I always emphasize that quantity is more important than quantity. For most people over 60, the appropriate amount for an evening drink is about 100 to 150 milliliters. This is enough to send signals of relaxation and provide necessary nutrients, but not so much that it fills the body with a half-light. The way you drink is also important. Sit quietly, drink slowly, without rushing or letting tension or worry get in the way. Drinking in a calm state activates the parasympathetic nervous system, allowing the body to naturally transition into relaxation mode. Not everyone responds well to the same beverage. Some find milk more comfortable, while others feel more bloated. Some find bone broth more suitable, while others find almond milk more soothing. The key is to observe your body's reactions over several consecutive days, rather than expecting overnight results. Your aging body needs time to trust that night is a safe and quiet time again. By choosing the right beverage in the right amount and in the right way, nighttime gradually becomes a time of rest, not a time to worry about waking up. It's time for a gentle transition, allowing your body to slow down, and deep sleep will have a chance to return naturally, without having to force it or rely on medication. Even if you've chosen the right drink for your body in the evening, there's another important factor that determines whether your sleep actually improves: how you drink it. Many people are disappointed that they still wake up at night, even though they've changed their drink but kept their time and method of drinking the same. At this age, the body reacts very honestly. Even if the amount of food you drink is slightly too much or the timing is off, the consequences will be felt that very night. The first thing I emphasize to my patients is to avoid drinking anything right before bed. If you lie down immediately after drinking, your kidneys haven't had time to adjust, the light hasn't adjusted, and your brain will receive the message that there's still work to be done that night. This makes it difficult for your nervous system to fully transition into a state of rest. The best time to drink an evening beverage is usually about an hour to an hour and a half before bedtime. This gives your body enough time to absorb fluid, distribute it to your tissues, and eliminate any excess before bedtime. Don't rush after drinking. Give yourself a short transition period. A brisk walk around the house, brush your teeth and face, or simply sit still for a few minutes are all good options. Before bed, even if you don't really need to urinate, make another trip to the bathroom. This isn't about holding it in or forcing it. It's about emptying your bladder as much as possible before your body rests. Many people skip this small step and wake up with only a small amount of urine remaining in their bladder. Be realistic about how much you drink. Evening isn't a time to replenish fluids. For most people over 60, about 100 to 150 milliliters is sufficient. This amount is less than a standard cup. This number surprises many, as we've long believed that drinking more water is better. However, at night, more is more. The body doesn't need more. It just wants the right amount. How you drink also makes a big difference. Drinking slowly and in small sips while relaxed activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and recovery. Conversely, drinking quickly while standing or while watching the news or worrying makes the body think it's still active. Many people notice a noticeable difference just by changing their drinking style. Over time, these small habits retrain the bladder. The bladder isn't a fixed organ. It learns through habit. When it receives the same rhythmic message every night, that night is quiet time, it gradually reduces the waking signals. Many of my patients report a noticeable decrease in middle-of-the-night wakings within a few weeks. I remember Mr. Han Jaeon, who was a sage. For nearly 10 years, he would wake up without fail at 2 a.m. every morning. He became so accustomed to it that he no longer looked forward to it, simply wishing he were less tired in the morning. We didn't make any major changes. We simply adjusted the type and amount of his evening drink, reduced its amount, and moved up the time of day. After about 3 weeks, he told me that some nights he slept until 5 a.m. without waking up.